Most people buying a campervan in 2026 are going to overpay by $15,000 to $40,000, not because they're careless, because they're looking at the wrong vans, the ones getting the most YouTube views, not the ones delivering the most value. And here's the number that should stop you cold. In the last 18 months, some of the most hyped Class B models have lost 20 to 30% of their value. If you bought one at peak pricing, you've already lost the equivalent of a full year of retirement income. That's not a market correction, that's a consequence. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly which campervans smart buyers are quietly choosing right now, and more importantly, why those choices are smarter than what the mainstream market is pushing at you. Real-world costs, depreciation curves, platform reliability, long-term livability, resale strategy. This is for people who are serious, retirees who've spent a career making disciplined financial decisions and don't want to blow it on an impulse purchase, families who need durability over aesthetics, and full-time van lifers who understand that the wrong choice doesn't just cost money, it costs months of your life fixing problems in places you don't want to be stuck. I'm not here to hype any single brand. I'm here to give you the honest read on where the value actually is in 2026, because the market has shifted dramatically, and most of the advice you'll find online is 2 years out of date. Remember this: platform first, build second, Instagram last. That's the framework for every decision in this video. Section 1. The market shift nobody's talking about. Between 2020 and 2022, campervan prices went completely insane. Supply chain chaos, pandemic demand, and a cultural moment where everyone simultaneously decided they wanted to live in a van drove prices to levels that made zero financial sense. A used Winnebago Revel with 40,000 miles was selling for more than its original MSRP. That's not a market, that's a frenzy. Then it cooled, and it didn't just cool slightly, it corrected hard. By late 2023 and into 2024, Class B campervan values started dropping at 12 to 18% per year in some segments. Inventory that had been sitting on dealer lots for 6 months was suddenly common. Dealers who'd been arrogant gatekeepers during the boom were calling buyers back. Now in 2026, we're in what I call a buyer's intelligence window. Prices have stabilized at lower levels, but not everyone has adjusted their expectations. Motivated sellers, negotiable inventory, real opportunity, if you know what to look for. The buyers winning right now are not the ones jumping on the flashiest new model. They're the ones who understand 3 things: which platforms have proven long-term reliability, which price points represent genuine value versus inflated brand premium, and which use cases actually justify the cost of specific configurations. But before we get into the platforms, I want to tell you about a buyer who made a $32,000 mistake last year, because it's the kind of mistake that's incredibly easy to make and incredibly hard to undo. A retired couple, both in their early 60s, serious travelers, financially disciplined their whole lives, spent 8 months researching campervans. They watched hundreds of videos, they visited dealers, they did everything right. Then, they bought a brand new Mercedes Sprinter conversion from a premium builder at $178,000. Beautiful van, no question. But 14 months later, they sold it. The reason? Service costs they hadn't factored in, a layout that didn't suit the way they actually traveled, and the creeping realization that they were anxious to use it, worried about depreciation, worried about mechanical issues far from a dealer, rather than free. They cleared $146,000 on the sale. They'd lost $32,000 in 14 months of ownership, not counting fuel, insurance, or campsite fees. They bought a well-maintained 2021 Transit conversion 6 weeks later for $84,000. They've put 22,000 miles on it. They've never been happier. That story isn't rare, it's a pattern, and the pattern has a clear cause: buying the van that looks best on a screen instead of the van that fits the life you're actually going to live. Platform first, build second, Instagram last. Section 2. Ford Transit, the quiet workhorse. If you're buying in 2026 and you're not seriously considering a Ford Transit-based build, you're leaving money on the table. Here's the cost math that most people don't see laid out clearly. A premium transit conversion from a reputable builder, full kitchen, fixed bed, reasonable solar setup, runs $85,000 to $105,000 new and $65,000 to $90,000 used in the post-correction market. A routine service visit runs $200 to $350 at a Ford dealer or independent shop. Now, compare that to the Sprinter, same category of build, $130,000 to $180,000 new. Routine Mercedes dealer service, $400 to $600. And that's before you factor in the availability problem. If you break down in rural Montana, rural Brittany, or anywhere outside a major metro, finding a Sprinter-certified technician is a real exercise. Finding a Ford-capable mechanic is not. Over a 10-year ownership period, the service cost differential alone can exceed $15,000 to $20,000. That's not a minor footnote in the financial analysis. That's a significant part of the platform decision. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 and the higher Transit trims has over a decade of real-world data behind it now. Early versions had some well-documented issues. The post-2020 revisions resolved most of them. You're buying a known quantity. Transit sweet spot in 2026, well-equipped used models from 2021 to 2023 converted by reputable builders in the $65,000 to $90,000 range. Post-correction pricing, proven mechanical history, strong resale if you maintain it. Who should consider this? Families, first-time van buyers, and anyone planning to cover significant mileage across varied geography. The Transit rewards practical thinking. But the Transit isn't the most interesting story in 2026. There's one specific platform that smart buyers are circling right now that most people aren't paying enough attention to, and it involves a van that's been dominating the European market for 20 years while flying completely under the radar in the US. Section 3. Ram ProMaster and Fiat Ducato, the hidden value play. Here's something that confuses a lot of American buyers. The Ram ProMaster and the Fiat Ducato are, mechanically, the same van. Front-wheel drive platform, same basic architecture, manufactured through the Stellantis umbrella. The ProMaster is the North American version. The Ducato is what the rest of the world has been building professional campervans on for over 20 years. In Europe, the Ducato-based conversion ecosystem is enormous and mature. Companies like Deathlifts, Pilot, Chausson, and dozens of boutique German and French builders have been refining Ducato layouts since before most American van lifers were thinking about this lifestyle. The institutional knowledge baked into a well-built Ducato conversion, insulation strategy, electrical architecture, layout ergonomics reflects 20 years of iteration. That has real value. The Ram ProMaster in the US market is undervalued right now, not because it's inferior, because it isn't cool. It doesn't carry the Sprinter's brand cachet, and that perception gap is exactly where the value is hiding. Front-wheel drive is often listed as a disadvantage. For serious off-road use, it is, but for the majority of campervan buyers, highway travel, campgrounds, paved forestry roads, it's no issue. Front-wheel drive gives you a lower center of gravity, better handling in wet or snowy conditions, and a turning radius that's genuinely useful in urban environments and tight European streets. The ProMaster used market right now has excellent inventory at depreciated prices, well-converted examples in good condition in the $55,000 to $75,000 range. For buyers who do their homework, this platform offers more value per dollar than almost anything else in the current market. For European buyers specifically, used Ducato platform builds from established converters in the €45,000 to €65,000 range represent some of the best campervan value on the continent right now. That's a mature layout, professional build quality, and a parts ecosystem that American custom conversions simply can't match at that price point. Section 4. Mercedes Sprinter, still king. Read the fine print. Now, let's talk about the van that still dominates YouTube searches and dealer marketing, the Mercedes Sprinter. Is it genuinely well-engineered? Yes. Did it earn its reputation as the gold standard for professional conversions? Absolutely. The chassis is excellent, the high roof configuration is generous, and the driving dynamics for this kind of vehicle are impressive. But here's what the industry doesn't tell you clearly enough. The depreciation curve on premium Sprinter builds is steep.
A fully outfitted build from a top-tier converter, Storyteller Overland, outside van, agile off-road, pushes $170,000 to $200,000 at MSRP. How much of that is the Mercedes chassis? $45,000 to $55,000. The rest is conversion premium, design, and brand. Does that premium hold in resale? It does not the way the purchase price suggests it should. Now do the capital cost math directly. At $180,000 over 10 years, you're carrying $18,000 per year in depreciated cost before fuel, before camping fees, before a single service visit. A $90,000 transit build, $9,000 per year. Same trip, same campsite, half the capital burden. The Sprinter also has a proprietary electronics architecture that creates real service dependencies. In Europe, the dealer network is workable. In North America,
It's thinner than you'd want for serious extended travel. That's not a rumor. It's the most common complaint in every serious Sprinter owner community online. So who should buy one? Buyers with genuine four-season off-grid needs, extended remote expeditions, year-round serious use that actually demands the platform's capability. For everyone else, be honest with yourself. Are you buying capability or are you buying a story? Section 5. VW California and Mercedes Marco Polo, the European smart choices. For European buyers and Americans willing to look seriously at the import market, two factory-built options deserve far more attention than they typically get. The Volkswagen California, specifically the Ocean and Beach variants, represents something genuinely unusual, a manufacturer-built, dealer-warranted campervan at a price point that delivers real value relative to custom conversions. The California 6.1 starts around 65,000 to 75,000 euros depending on spec, full VW warranty coverage, a resale curve that has historically been among the strongest in the campervan category, because demand is always there and supply is always limited. Now let's put a real number on that value. A comparable used transit high-roof conversion, similar sleeping capacity, similar kitchen setup, runs 55,000 to 70,000 euros on the European used market right now. On paper, nearly the same price, but the California carries factory warranty, manufacturer support, and a resale premium that a custom transit conversion simply can't match. Over a 5-year ownership window, the California's total cost of ownership is often lower despite the similar purchase price because you're not absorbing conversion depreciation the same way. The pop top is polarizing. Some buyers see it as a compromise, but those buyers are comparing it to the wrong reference class. The California isn't trying to compete with a full high-roof Sprinter build. It's a vehicle you drive daily, park in a normal space, and take camping whenever you want. For the retiree couple doing 6-week European tours or the family doing summer road trips through Germany and France, it's one of the most honest value propositions in the market. The Mercedes Marco Polo gets even less attention in English-language content, and that gap is an opportunity. Built on the V platform, it delivers genuine passenger car refinement in a compact campervan layout. Factory converted, full Mercedes dealer support across Europe, and it occupies a specific segment, premium compact camper with real urban usability, that the California doesn't fully cover. The Marco Polo runs 70,000 to 90,000 euros new. Used 2021 to 2023 examples, 52,000 to 68,000 euros. Cost per week on a 4-week annual trip at that price point, over 8 years of ownership, works out to roughly 200 to 250 euros per week in capital cost alone, competitive with mid-range hotel pricing without accounting for campsite savings. If you're a European buyer who travels mostly on good roads, values driving refinement, and wants a vehicle that doesn't announce itself as a campervan outside of restaurants, the Marco Polo deserves a serious look. Now, I want to give you the take that's going to make some people uncomfortable. There's an entire category of campervan I think most buyers should actively avoid in 2026, and it's not the one you might expect. Controversial insight. The absolute no-go. Here's the take that will generate pushback. The aggressively overlanding spec'd, high-clearance, all-terrain campervan has become the single most overhyped product category in the market.
And for most buyers, it's a genuinely bad financial decision. Lifted 4x4 Sprinter conversions with portal axles, integrated rock sliders, expedition-grade roof racks on vans with white leather interiors in espresso machines. These builds exist. They get enormous YouTube views. They cost $180,000 to $250,000. I spoke to a buyer last year, a surgeon from Colorado, meticulous researcher, who spent $210,000 on a fully overlanding spec Sprinter build. In the first 18 months of ownership, he used the 4x4 system exactly twice. Both times on a gravel road he could have navigated in a standard SUV. If you're driving to a national park campground, a campsite in Provence, or a forest road in Bavaria, you do not need portal axles. The problem isn't that these vans are bad at what they're designed for. The problem is that 90% of buyers who purchase them use less than 10% of their capability. You're paying an enormous premium for features you'll never trigger, while accepting higher maintenance costs, worse fuel economy, and a more anxious ownership experience every time you hear an unfamiliar noise. The van life content ecosystem has systematically distorted what most buyers actually need. The cinematic drone shot of a $200,000 van on a remote Icelandic ridge gets 500,000 views. The honest financial breakdown of a mid-range transit build gets 40,000. That's not anyone's fault. It's just how attention works. But it means you, as a buyer, are being algorithmically trained to want something more expensive than your actual life requires. Define the life first. Buy the van second. Platform first. Build second. Instagram last. Section 6. Who should buy what? Retiree couples. 2 to 4 extended trips per year. Budget, $70,000 to $110,000. Platform, quality used transit or ProMaster conversion, 2021 to 2023. Proven reliability, manageable service costs, everything you need for trips of 2 to 6 weeks. Don't let anyone sell you into a $160,000 build for this use case. You will not use 60% of what you're paying for. Families. Summer travel and long weekends. Budget, $90,000 to $130,000. Platform, high-roof transit or Sprinter conversions from builders who specifically designed for families, bunk configurations, proper storage for kid gear, layouts that don't assume 2 adults and a dog. Don't buy a conversion not designed for family use and try to retrofit it. The wrong layout is a livability problem no modification fully solves. Full-time van lifers, solo or couple. Budget, $75,000 to $120,000. Platform, 2 to 3-year-old Transit, Sprinter, or ProMaster, past its early production issue window with a known service history. At this use intensity, reliability and serviceability matter more than features. Buying slightly used gives you real-world mechanical data a brand new van simply can't. European buyers, road travel focus. Budget, 50,000 to 80,000 euros. Platforms, used Ducato-based build from an established European converter, VW California or Mercedes Marco Polo depending on your use profile. The European used market carries institutional build quality that American custom conversions can't match at equivalent price points. Do not ignore it. Here's my honest read on 2026. The campervan market is no longer a seller's market. The frenzy is over. That's good news for serious buyers willing to do the work. The vans representing the best value right now are not the ones in the most YouTube videos. They're the ones with proven platforms, manageable ownership costs, and configurations that actually match the way real people travel. The Ford Transit remains the most pragmatically sound choice for most North American buyers. The Ram ProMaster is undervalued and hiding in plain sight. The VW California is one of the most honest European offerings if you're clear-eyed about what it is and isn't. The Mercedes Marco Polo is earning serious attention from buyers who actually know the market. And the Sprinter, while genuinely capable, demands that you run the real financial math before you let the brand premium make the decision for you. The buyers I respect most in this space are not the ones with the most impressive builds. They're the ones who knew exactly what they needed, found the best version of that thing at the right price, and spent the money they saved on actually going places. Platform first. Build second. Instagram last. Buy smart. Buy for the life you're actually going to live, not the one that looks best on a screen. One question for the comments: which platform are you seriously considering in 2026, and what's the single thing still holding you back from pulling the trigger? Here's why I'm asking beyond just curiosity. In the next video, I'm covering the single platform that 80% of buyers completely overlook, and I'll be featuring comments from this video in it. Drop your pick below. You might end up in the next one. I read every comment and reply to as many as I can. The conversation down there is genuinely one of the better research resources for serious buyers, so don't skip it.